Hello lovely learners, welcome back to ALifeLearned. I honestly hadn't planned on vlogging about this so soon, but I'm having a rather relevant experience today related to it, so I figured I would share. So one of the biggest struggles I've been having for the last few months, particularly because of my court case ending and my life calming down, is realization that one of the ways I responded to getting out of my abuse and to trying to cope when I was initially trying to just like move on with life and pretend it never happened sort of thing, which a lot of us do, you know, before I started getting into therapy sort of thing, I was certain and determined to enjoy sex and to enjoy the connection and the stress relief and all the various things that it could offer me, and to not let my abuse stand in the way of me being able to do that. And so I very much believe myself to be hypersexual and to be basically always interested in a little fun if there's time for it, and you know, experimentation and such things, and just trying to enjoy myself. And I have previously done a video discussing sexual autonomy and the concept of being hypersexual, and there's nothing wrong with it. If you haven't seen it, I will try to pop it up in the suggestions of this video. But I still stand by everything I said in that video. It's still valid, and I would say I was a hypersexual person, but I really have come to realize that that behavior was a response to my abuse, and it was a way of me coping with how it had impacted my sexuality. Because, well, it's just a matter of fact that my first experience with anything sexual was molestation when I was 5 or so, and then it was a second abuser who had actually raped and beaten me for 6 years. And so I've been through multiple sexual abuses, and all through my developing years and my brain growing. And so with this and with my life calming down, I have finally been able to acknowledge, I guess, that I actually deal with this auto-no, I guess you could call it. I don't know how else to phrase it, but whenever I get into a situation of being aroused, no matter what the situation is, whether I want it or I don't want it, my mind still automatically thinks, no, don't, resist. And I have always had to push past that, basically, and fight past that, and I just sort of ignored that I had to do it. I don't know how else to say. Like, I was just so insistent to enjoy the experience and to have the experience and to not let my abuse stop me from having that experience, that I would just be like, whatever, and I'd push past it and be able to enjoy myself. I would. But I'm tired of pushing past it now. I don't have that drive or that need, I guess, to have control over my body. That's what it was. I forgot that that's what I realized is it was the way of taking back control over my body after being raped for 6 years, was that I was saying when it was happening and how it was happening. I was in control of it, and I wanted to feel attractive. Excuse me, I'm having issues with my throat. And I wanted to feel, I guess, just empowered in my ability to still experience that despite it having been such a point of negativity for me in my life. And I'm still very much driven in that way. I still do want to be able to enjoy sex and enjoy that type of connection. I don't want to just shove it out or increasingly struggle with arousal. But I really do right now. My libido has dropped massively now that I've acknowledged that I have to push past this no. Because, like, before, it was always there, but I ignored it. I wouldn't acknowledge it consciously. It was a very subconscious thing. So pushing past it wasn't as hard because I was just insistent to do it. But once I'm aware of things that are going on, I'm less able to just pretend, I guess. I'm not good at pretending unless it's a subconscious thing. So now that I'm very conscious of this issue, it has really become a problem in my relationship and just in my life, because I have attached a lot of my worth to my sexuality and a lot of my femininity and my ability to remain connected to my partner. And he has been incredibly supportive. Like, I couldn't ask for more in terms of how understanding he is being. Just the absolute best, especially for someone who is hypersexual. He is, but he is just being the best. And he doesn't make me feel bad about it or insecure or anything. I just feel bad about it because I want the connection and I want more, and I'm struggling. And I know I've had other people message me who struggle with this too, where they've been through abuse, and it's not so much an auto no necessarily, but the reason I have this auto no is because in a lot of situations, what causes arousal is something that's actually really upsetting to me. Like, I'm very high stress, high anxiety. I'm, not how you would think someone would be in the mindset to be turned on, because that's how I was raised. That was my initial conditioning, was that I was always being raped. And so even though you don't mentally want it, your body responds. And I developed a routine in my chemistry, through my brain, through my body, that high stress causes arousal. And that's really hard for me, because I don't like that. Like, I don't know how to say. Some people are able to embrace BDSM and really get enjoyment out of it, and great, good for them. I've read some articles from a friend that say that that's really healthy and good for the expansion of your mind and such things. But I have a difficult time feeling comfortable embracing like rape porn, basically, or embracing being put under a situation where I'm unhappy, and also, but enjoying it. Like, I don't know how else to say that. I have to be under great stress and basically unhappy in order to experience arousal. And it's not just sexual. It can be like someone's putting me on the spot socially, and then suddenly I'll start to get a little aroused, and it's very, very uncomfortable because I don't want it. I don't want to experience it then. I'm under stress, right? I'm anxious and unhappy, ultimately. And when you want to be turned on and enjoying yourself with a person, you want to be happy, right? And wanting it. And so it's like I have this literal conflict of, I specifically get aroused when I don't want it, when the mind is saying no. And so, or with things arouse me that generally disturb me. Types of porn that I don't want to embrace, types of sexual activity that I don't condemn anyone for if they enjoy it, but I can't see myself embracing those things after all that I've been through, but they do arouse me. And so it's just like very conflicting, very difficult to deal with. And I was trying to work on it a little bit with my therapist, but I felt I needed more specific work. And so after discussing with a friend that they had been through sex therapy, I looked into it, and just last night set an appointment for today with a new therapist, a sex therapist, and I am very anxious about it. I don't know if I've ever been so anxious about having to do therapy before. And I'm wondering if maybe it's because, like, every experience I've had of therapy since I first started, all the people have been connected in some way. It's been through referrals, or they've worked together in the same program, stuff like that. Whereas this person I literally Googled. I was just like, London, Ontario sex therapist, and this person came up. And they also agreed that they would be within the price range that I need in order for my assistance to cover it, basically, because I have it through a compensation thing within Ontario for victims of abuse. And they have very specific requirements on how much the therapist can charge. And so I actually already called another sex therapist, and they were like, yeah, no, sorry, that doesn't fit within my price range. And that kind of bummed me out. But this person, was agreeing and made the appointment, and now I'm just like, butterflies don't even explain how anxious I am. I woke up and I was feeling kind of sick, and I'm still feeling kind of sick, and my stomach's all in knots, and it's just like, I guess it's because I'm having, for a first time ever, I'm having that really vulnerable experience of just a random therapist that I have no reason to trust yet. Like in the past, I was very naive to not trusting therapists, and I got really lucky with them being good. And then I've been referred to other people that I was told by my original therapist were really good, so I had this sense of security about it. Whereas now it's just very, like, kind of random, So I'm scared. I'm nervous. This could be a little bit of a waste of money for all we know. I might not get along with her for all I know. We'll see. But I'm really determined, as I was when I first got out of my abuse, to not let my abuse stop me from enjoying my sexuality, how empowered it makes me feel, and how connected it allows me to be to my partner, and just how much it allows me to enjoy my life. I am very frustrated that I feel like there's this huge hiccup right now, but I'm just not going to let what I've been through stop me from enjoying life. Although I'm not gonna lie, I've definitely had moments of just wanting to give up and just go numb and go off and be a hermit, stop being in a relationship, stop relating with people, stop pretending, or stop being a part of humanity, and just crawl in a hole. So I can relate if anyone has ever been through any kind of sexual abuse or sexual assault and doesn't want to address how it has messed them up. I get it. I completely get it. I want to crawl in that hole sometimes too. But for whatever reason, I can't quite explain, I am just too determined to not let what he did to me stop me from enjoying what I've seen so many people express sex can be in their life. It can just be such an incredible source of stress relief and positive experience, I guess. The endorphin rushes and everything that you can get with all the issues I have with depression. It's really not an experience I want to lose, And thankfully, I'm not completely asexual at the moment. I am still connecting with my partner, just way less than I used to. Like, I was honestly at the point of having sex every day. I was very hypersexual, and that is not the case at the moment. And so I really, I don't feel like I have to get back up to doing it every day if I'm not feeling that, because it was, in a way, it's like I obligated myself to be hypersexual too. It's like that's the only way I was a good woman, if I was, and that's not true. I want to be myself. I want to embrace whatever I feel, but I don't know what I feel. I don't. And I want to. And I want to understand myself, and I want to understand all these messed up pathways and these different things that arouse me and these things that don't, and I want to see what I can do about it, basically. But, whew, am I scared right now? Super anxious to go to this therapist. But fingers crossed, I guess, that it works out. So yeah, scared but determined. And I really empathize with anyone who might have been through an experience like this. I would really suggest going to a therapist and trying to work on it if you can relate at all, but I understand if you don't feel like you're there yet. And don't ever shit on yourself. I love that saying. But don't. There's no thing that you should be doing. Just try to do what works for you. This happens to be what works for me. Anyways, I'm not sure when I'll be vlogging again, but I have a very, very interesting story for you guys to share. So do check back with the channel in a few days, and there'll be a rather dramatic story time to share. In the meantime, I hope you all have a lovely day, and do join me again next week or sometime soon, where I try again to share a little something I've learned or experienced in life.